more specific on some of the things that you've done and how you're working to help people achieve understand their purpose and get on a path towards finding their purpose. So you've written these books. What is the ideal order? What is the best way to use the tools that you've got out there? Even if you want to include your videos, like however you've amassed this information, how best people not to become overwhelmed, and how for them to kind of get on a clear path to say, okay, this is something I really want to explore and get into.
So it's taking baby steps, because the mind will block and judge what it doesn't understand. And so the little book, To Find Your Purpose, was the first book. And it came actually rather rapidly. And when I first received it, I thought it was all about the life purpose. But I realized in looking through the book again and rereading it many times, it doesn't say life purpose at all. And so the life purpose is as a spoke of the wheel, and we all do, or many of us do have a life purpose, but it's not the original one. And so the first book, the little book, To Find Your Purpose, is the best because it incorporates the next book, which is the What If book of What Is, and actually portions of the next book, The Original Purpose. I need to read it again because it perhaps even has aspects of, which I think it does, the new book that's coming out. And so it would be in the order that the books were given, because that is the growth of the path of what you might want to follow. Because to take them out of order is fine. I mean, there's no mandate that they must read them a certain way. But the little book is a very quick read, and I've recorded it on audio, and it's under an hour. And so it's a very fast, very quick overview, but it sets some foundational understandings about what is universal love, and how does universal love impact what we do, and how might we introduce it, really reintroduce it back into the world of form, because it is the healing mechanism. It is the means to heal so many things. I will say that there was a tornado that was coming through, and it was so egregious, so strong, it killed people in the pathway to where I live. And that night before I went to bed, they were talking about getting a helmet and wearing the helmet as you sleep. And that if you had a basement, that you might go into the basement, into the most secure part of the basement with your helmet and stay there. I'd never heard anyone ever say, get your bicycle helmet and go into your basement. So I went to bed, and around 3:00 in the morning, I woke up to what sounded like a freight train outside of my window. And it was so loud. I'd never experienced anything like it. And I had my computer and my phone and my pillow, and I picked them up and I went into the basement. And I listened because I could hear it and my basement is concrete, as I'm guessing most are. And so anyway, I went down into the basement and I sat and I put my hands up and I projected universal love into the tornado that was outside my door. And I did that for about 20 minutes. And about 10 minutes into it, I felt the energy ramp up in my hands. And I knew that the elders were joining with me and projecting energy, that I was facilitating this energy flow into the tornado. And after about 20 minutes, the sound subsided, and I took down my hands, which kind of effortlessly stayed up, and stayed there for another 30 minutes and went back to bed. And the next night, and really the next day, I had someone that was at my home that lived in the area where I'm from and was a longtime resident. And he was going to inquire, and then came back later in the week and said he'd inquired and that there had not been one fatality. He'd not heard of any property damage. and that it was an uneventful, very strong tornado that had killed a number of people on the pathway to where it hit here. So I know the value of universal love, and I now know a formula that I can invoke into something of a magnitude that will dissipate the energy, because we have so much energy now that is of a negative nature from people who are unhappy with the this, the that, whatever the circumstance or occurrence is. And this is the means to diffuse and disseminate and move love back into this world of form as it was meant to be. So the little book shares that. And it also shares a mantra and a verse that are a stilling of the mind. And they're means to begin the process to still the mind from its endless rantings and ravings and doings and checklists. And so it's the beginning. And then the What If Book of What Is a healing book that allows you to release energy, perhaps stored or trapped emotion, that is the beginnings of disease and illness. And the reason that book ties into the 3 purpose books is because you need a body vessel to remain healthy and strong so that you can enact all that you want to do as you age. Because when this stored energy remains in the body untapped and not removed, it is the beginnings of disease and illness, because it actually reformulates and repatterns and shifts and changes what was there before, perhaps in symmetry and flow. So then the last 2 books are The Original Purpose and Enact Your Purpose. And the original purpose gives the remembering that you have not just a life purpose, but you have an original one. And it was the original incarnation that you took when you first came into form to understand your purpose, which is an energy. It's an emotional energy oftentimes, but it's an energy that you didn't quite understand before you became physically placed. And so you took this journey to Earth to understand in a more physical way what it is that you wanted to know that you didn't know before. And so it goes through the transition time, it goes through the in-between time, it goes through the behind the scenes time, which are all those times. And I gather that they're more voluminous than what has been given in this book. But it is a book that allows you to understand what you need to know to navigate this life in a more preferred way. Because rediscovering this and rediscovering these methodologies have not been available to my understanding for a time and more time. And so it's a tool. And then the final book, The Enact Your Purpose, explains why you are not your mind. And it does it beautifully. And because I used to not understand, why am I not my mind? Of course I'm my mind. I'm here. Who am I without my mind? But it allows you to see things from a little bit different vantage and allows you to enact those things that will move you in a way I think never before, because now you've got the trilogy of books that can progress you as you're ready to progress. Because nothing is steadfast that you need to do it immediately. You don't have to do it, tomorrow. You do it when you're ready to do it and when it's the right time to do it and to enact those steps. Because perhaps you're not ready to shift change yet, and that's okay. But when you are in that space where you're ready to progress for more, you have the tools for more to be given.